Now, let's move into a guy who has created some really polar opinions, not only amongst Jets fans, but amongst football fans in general. That is Drake London, wide receiver, USC. Now, the big knock on him, the big question is, can he separate? Can he separate? Well, I'm not Joe Blewett. I haven't logged the number, dozens and dozens of hours of Drake London tape. I watched 3 or 4 USC games last year, and I hopped on YouTube for about a half an hour before this. So add to the conversation below if I miss anything here on Drake London. And I gotta say, people who say he can't separate, there's some truth to that. There is. A lot of his catches come on contested balls, where the defensive back is really close to him, but he uses his strength, his height, his jumping ability, his balance, and his hand-eye coordination to win. Now, it was good enough for 136 receiving yards a game. So my question right back at you is, people say, oh, that's not going to translate because wide receivers or defensive backs rather in the NFL are going to be bigger and stronger. So he's not going to be able to bully defensive backs in the NFL. Well, you can apply that same logic to the skill sets of any wide receiver prospect. Jamison Williams wins with speed. Defensive backs in the NFL are going to be faster. Garrett Wilson wins with elusiveness. Defensive backs in the NFL are going to be surer tacklers. Chris Olave wins with route running. Defensive backs in the NFL are going to have better coverage technique. So why is it only Drake London's skill set that's not going to translate? That's my question back to you. And people bring up, there's been this stat going around comparing Drake London and his contested catch rate to other wide receivers recently who have come out of college with a similar contested catch rate. Denzel Mims and JJ Arcega-Whiteside were on that list. But this is not an apples to apples comparison. I just told you Drake London averaged 136 receiving yards a game last season at USC. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, his last year of college, 88 yards a game. Denzel Mims, his last year at Baylor, 78 yards a game. And they were both over a year older than Drake London when they did that. So one of those things is not like the other. Drake London is built different than JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Denzel Mims. That's not to say he's the best prospect. That's not to say he's going to be successful. But that argument just doesn't hold up for me. So you might say we don't have a lot of examples of guys who win with catch radius and jump balls and 50-50 balls. That is true. The game is going towards a separation ability and yards after catch via speed and elusiveness. That is true, which is why I like Garrett Wilson better than Drake London. But, I mean, we did have Brandon Marshall, who won with good route running, playing strong at the top of the route, and being bigger and stronger than defensive backs. We've seen Mike Evans do it. Mike Evans is probably a little bit faster than Drake London. We've seen Mike Williams do it. We've seen Alshon Jeffrey do it. So why not Drake London? That's my question right back to you. Why do we think that his skill set is the only skill set that won't translate? So if you have an answer, if there's some statistics that I'm missing, or you've watched more USC than I have, put it in the comments below. Open it up to a conversation.